It began with questions to the community.
And our question today is, what changes, if any, would you make to our immigration system?
I personally wouldn't make any. I think it's kind of a waste of, not a waste of money, but the finances could be used somewhere else more important.
The illegal immigration is a real big problem, and I agree with the new Arizona law that went into effect.
We really don't need to make any changes. We just need to enforce the immigration policy that's in effect now, but they should secure the border, which is everybody's saying we got to secure the border.
From questions came conversations.
Most Americans want to see is accountability for people's actions.
If people had a path towards citizenship, then they would be accountable to local and state authorities.
It is and it always will be a combination of unfounded fear and a combination of legitimate concern.
The goal is to give the public a voice and information about a complicated issue, immigration.
Every day we go out and talk to people in the community. And
Amy Shaw is Vice President of Education and Community Engagement for the nineNetwork and heads the multi-platform project on immigration entitled Homeland.
We've talked to hundreds of people who said, I don't really know about immigration, or that doesn't really impact me, or it's just not something I think about, who then have really said, oh, well, I do really have an idea about this, or they did have some knowledge or expertise or opinion. And I think sometimes the challenge is the traditional news media sort of shuts out people's voices and lets them believe that they really don't have the right to have an opinion or a belief on something because it's so polarized one side or the other. And so what we're really trying to accomplish with this project with Homeland is letting people's voices be heard and really understanding the authentic context of these issues, how they live in a local community, because while immigration is clearly a national issue, it really does play out in the daily lives of people in our St. Louis community, across the state, and really across the country as well.
The Homeland Project was launched in the spring of 2010. The interviews and roundtables captured by members of the Homeland team are posted online.
Every day we do a Your Voice piece where people in the community will get interviewed. They'll be asked a question of the day by one of the Homeland staff members. And so, for example, we just posted one called Where Are You From? We put together a piece aggregating all of those answers.
In addition to our website, which is a blog platform where obviously there's commenting, dialogue, the ability to create a conversation in that space, we have a Facebook page where we're again posting news information, interesting statistics we're finding. One of the things that we found is that there's a yin and yang to all of this. So it's, if you're like, seal the borders, well, what does that mean for the economy? There's not resources necessarily to do that. Are you willing to pay $14 for a head of lettuce if that means that the person who's picked the lettuce is a documented worker as opposed to an undocumented worker? So we're trying to delve into those gray spaces and get, hear what the community has to say about them.
Another crucial element of the Homeland Project is the 9 Academy. This is where members of the community can learn the basics of digital storytelling.
We have, for example, a class piece. A terrific student produced something called You're Unwelcome, and so they can really share what they think about the immigration debates.
The online news outlet, the St. Louis Beacon, posts stories on immigration policy as well as immigrants' personal stories in conjunction with Homeland.
But we're trying to help people understand the dynamics of immigration. What does it mean to say you are undocumented? What does deportation really involve? How difficult is family reunification? We want to look at just the nuts and bolts of immigration law and the immigration experience to let people understand what's really entailed. One of the tools that we have at the Beacon is the PIN, the Public Insight Network. And these are people who have answered questions and questionnaires, both through the Beacon and through Channel 9, and have indicated some level of expertise or interest in various issues. So yes, we have been tapping in to the PIN and trying to find out from people what about immigration is important to them, what their views are, what changes they think need to be made.
It's my privilege on behalf of the citizens of the United States to call you fellow Americans. This nation's gift of citizenship to you is the greatest honor that can be given any man or woman. And as an American citizen, you're entitled to each privilege and right enjoyed by all Americans.
These are scenes from the final piece of Homeland, a 4-hour documentary series scheduled to premiere in 2011.
Mom's here today. Good morning. How's everything? It went well yesterday?
We know the agony of the refugee journey. And we know the challenges of living in an urban city, regardless of where it is.
Yeah, new address.
Okay. Did you give this?
Knowing where the families are coming from, not just countries, but experiences. The war, the refugee journey. Most of our students are refugees. That's one. But academically, the challenge is even more intense. You don't have the language. If you came out of war, there's a disruption in formal education, if you had any.
Okay, let me.
Yeah,
you have the office? Okay, let's go.
And he read it.
Did it make sense?
Yeah, he said, well, this is all legalese. I said, well, so's the English version.
Right.
So he did explain to them.
I had Caesar translate it into Spanish for us. And I said,
Anne-Marie Berger and Jim Kircher are on the Homeland team and are producers of the documentary series.
I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty.
The documentary's first 3 hours concentrates on personal profiles. The 4th hour examines immigration policies and is driven by the work of the Beacon.
It's very important to have the kind of objective, impartial discourse on policy without getting into the rhetoric. But it's also important to show how it plays out in real life.
It isn't just about broadcast. It's about using community engagement, using the power of online technologies, using the power of social media to really tell an important and resonant story, one that doesn't just end with the Homeland series, but really is just the beginning of a conversation.